Welcome to Tony's Sports Talk blog. Today, January 12, 2014, just want to talk a little bit about the Cavaliers' recent move to acquire Luol Deng, the small forward from the Chicago Bulls, a perennial all-star, 19.1 point average per game this season. And just want to talk a little about how he fits into the Cavaliers' plans, what their prospective starting lineup will look like and some of their more important bench players and how this will affect them moving forward. So there's been a lot of media reports and, speculation whether or not the Cavs should have made this trade or not and how it does affect them. Me personally, I love the trade. I thought that, first of all, with the signing of Andrew Bynum, that was a high risk, high reward type of signing. If you could get the guy to stay alert. I wasn't really concerned about his shooting percentages, his averages, and things of that nature. I do think that the Cavs had a difficult time of actually being able to try to work him into the game, which is something that I can't comprehend. You either get a ball to the guy or you don't. He was a big body. He's a legit 7-footer, 7'1", I believe. And he's a big guy, 260, 70 pounds. And so, if he could even play half to his all-star level, then he could cause a lot of havoc. Not knowing too much about Andrew Bynum, don't know him personally, have very rarely heard him speak. I guess he began to get frustrated with his health or the way he was used in the organization or, the coaches. I can understand that. A lot of times, that happens with particular players and things of that nature. The situation is not right for them. But for the Cavs to be able to parlay, the expiring contract of Andrew Bynum with that January date, especially with January 7th being the date, is amazing how they were able to set their own deadline and trade him. Now, they didn't just trade him for a bag of bolts or something that they could get in return. They got Luol Deng out of there. Okay, so that immediately upgrades your small forward position. Now, you're referring to a guy 6'10", Earl Clark, who's really a power forward, but he has the agility to play small forward. You have a guy in Alonzo G, a 6'6", small forward, whose calling card is primarily defense, not a particularly great shooter. Neither is Earl Clark, which I was really puzzled by the Earl Clark signing. And the money that he got, that was pretty much to fill a roster spot as far as I'm concerned. They made a lot more out of Earl Clark than what he was supposed to be. I mean, even in college at Louisville, he wasn't really highly touted or highly sought after. He's a mediocre player as far as his ability to shoot the three, his ability to create his own shots. And so I think that the Earl Clark signing was highly overrated. As much emphasis as that they put on the importance of Earl Clark and how that was showing that the Cavaliers were trying to make a move. It's not as if they went out and signed Andre Karolinko or Andre Iguodala. They signed Earl Clark. But the Luol Deng trade adds a lot of different things to the Cavaliers. It immediately gives them a go-to scorer, somebody that you can depend on for buckets, consistent buckets. Another thing that Luol Deng provides for the Cavaliers is someone who provides the same consistent play game in and game out, defensively and offensively. He's not a particularly great three-point shooter, but the Cavaliers don't need a particularly great three-point shooter at the small forward position. Kyrie Irving's a good three-point shooter. Dion Waiters is a streaky three-point shooter. C.J. Miles is a decent three-point shooter. Even Matthew Dellavedova is a good three-point shooter. And so they can get their three-point shooting from other areas. If they can develop Sergei Karasev, then he's a well-known three-point shooter. As a matter of fact, he's got ridiculous range. And so he just needs to get acclimated to the NBA. I think the guy's maybe 17, 18, maybe 19 years old. And it's not he's 17, 18, or 19 years old playing in an American game. He played overseas, so that the acclimation to the American game is going to take some time for him. But the Luol Deng trade, what they actually gave up for Luol Deng was pretty much nothing. A lot of NBA pundits have often referred to the Cavaliers gave up 2 second-round draft picks and that pick that they got from Sacramento. That pick that they got for Sacramento, a lot has to take place for that to actually become a first-round pick that the Cavaliers are going to use. It's not like the Cavaliers gave up their own first-round pick. They still have first-round picks in 2015 from Miami. They still have the first-round draft pick from Memphis. So those picks that they gave up and the 2 second-round picks, I believe they got those 2 second-round picks in exchange for a player in last year's draft. Luol Deng will provide the buckets in the crunch time that the Cavaliers have been missing. I believe the Cavaliers had lost at least 10 games this year where they couldn't score the critical bucket and get the critical stop that would have propelled them to victories against some really good teams. They've lost to Portland, a game they should have won. They lost to Indiana twice in games they should have won. They've lost to, I believe they lost a game to Charlotte. They should have won. And not in the games that they got blown out. Another thing that Luol Deng has been in is big games, big time games, big time situations. He will teach some of the younger Cavalier players how to conduct themselves in situations. As far as ball movement's concerned, as far as the type of shots that you want to take in certain situations. If you have games and you're in the last 5 minutes of the game and you've got the game under control and you're winning by 5 or 6 points against a really good team. Let's say you're shocking Indiana and you've got the game, you're up by 5 in the last 5 minutes. The last thing that you want to do is start jacking up threes. The last thing that you want to do is take contested shots early in the shot clock. Things of that nature. So he's going to add a lot of experience. He's going to, if he can, gel with this team, he can provide the Cavaliers an opportunity to develop a winning attitude, something that a first-round draft pick is not going to be able to do for you. He's absolutely not going to be able to do for you. You cannot produce something that you don't have, and you cannot give something or educate on something or have something that you don't know. A first-round draft pick is raw material. I don't care if it's Julius Randle, Jabari Parker, Andrew Wiggins. Those guys have never played in the NBA, and they barely even played one game of college. They're not going to come into the NBA. Don't expect Michael Jordan to come out of the draft. Not saying that it can't happen. Just not expect on it. You don't take your organization banking on somebody who hasn't proven anything yet, because collegiate ball is totally different from NBA ball. And the next Michael Jordan, the next LeBron James, the next Carmelo Anthony might fall number 25th in the draft. The next Carlos Boozer barely made it out of the second round. But the college game wasn't made for Carlos Boozer. The pro game is a more wide open game. It's not as much zone. It's not as much structure and control by the coaches like they control in basketball. And the talent level is notches above it. And so These are the things that you have to take in consideration when Chris Gray made that trade. He gave up a guy. First of all, he had to fill a roster spot. He gave up a guy that wasn't going to be here one way or the other. He gave up a guy whose skills is diminishing, whose health is diminishing, and whose desire is not there. He gave that up for a guy who is a proven player, a guy who will play through injuries, a guy who is at least second team all defensive and first team all-star, a guy that puts up extremely quality shots, quality play, quality effort in the game consistently over the last 10 years. You're talking about a guy who's been in big game situations. You're talking about a guy who's well-behaved, a good character individual that doesn't get in trouble. And so the best thing for Kyrie Irving, for Dion Waiters, for Tristan Thompson is to be around someone who has been on the battlefield that can take them to places that they've never gone before.